Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Unlock the Middle's Navigating Leadership number 35. We are super excited here tonight to have a panel of leaders from across the country as we talk organically about what we're doing in our schools as we prepare to open up. My name is Dean Packard, and I'm the principal of Charlton Middle School in Charlton, Massachusetts. Alongside of me, I have my good friend and my cast of friends here. But this one here, Principal Chris Starcheski. Chris, nice to see you, my friend. You know, Unlock the Middle is all about giving back and getting better together. And tonight, we're going to do just that as always.
It's awesome to see you, Dean, everybody else on screen, Sheikah, Dorian, Frederick, Jamie, Spike, and Josh. You know, we've got a great opportunity coming up tomorrow morning for us. We're reopening with our faculties and staff with convocation, opening faculty meeting, getting down and dirty. Some of the members on the screen have been at it for a few weeks already. And in this new school year, and they've already faced some great challenges and overcome some great adversity. And I'm sure that we are going to learn some lessons tonight as we get forward in our productive experience moving into this week.
Chris, you know, one of the things I was thinking, I was having a conversation with my wife earlier about getting excited about coming back to work. And it's one of the things we're trying to plant those seeds for every faculty member that steps into our building and every child that steps into our building. We know that educators took a big hit last year working through probably the toughest time that they'll ever have to work through. But I know that tomorrow in both of our schools and across our district, it'll be a celebration. It's not going to be about a jam-filled packed agenda. It's a celebration to see them. And then we will hit the ground running with PD the following day. So, hey, that excites me. I know that excites you. And we've got a panel around this table right now. So let's shoot it around. Let's start off. We'll go down with Jamie. Jamie, welcome. Nice to see you. Thanks for being here.
Hello, hello. Hi, everybody. I'm Jamie Fowler White, first year principal from Memphis, Tennessee. I'm principal of Scenic Hills Elementary School. I'm excited to be with y'all tonight.
Thank you so much. Let's go in the order. I don't know what it looks like on your screen, but I have Josh Tovar directly to the right. So why don't you go? We'll go around. Go ahead, Josh.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Josh Tovar, proud principal of the Memorial Pathway Academy in Garland ISD, living in Saxe, Texas. Welcoming everybody that's barely beginning as we enter our 5th week of success with our kids as we prepare the future of our country. Welcome, and let us hear your comments. Share them on Facebook, on YouTube, Twitter, whatever you're doing. Talk back to us. That way, we can only grow stronger together.
I love it. Let's go straight up. Ms. Dow, you're on.
Hi there. I'm Dorian Dow. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Secondary Schools, Northwest School District. It's about 20 minutes south of St. Louis. I want to thank the gang for having me back. This is a fun crew, and I'm excited to make some new friends. I agree with Josh. I hope others out there join us in the conversation. Dean, you mentioned the energy coming back into school, and we have been in for 4 days. It's been phenomenal. I'm so excited for what you're looking forward to tomorrow.
Great stuff. Dr. Houston.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Sheikah Houston. I'm the Director of Secondary Interventions in Chester, South Carolina for Chester County School District. This is a new position for me. I had been a principal for 5 years, so I'm adjusting. And it's been a good adjustment. I'm enjoying it. We are entering week 3 of school in South Carolina.
Very nice. Spike.
Everybody's talking about going back to school. What is that? I mean, we start with students on September 7th. I mean, what's everybody rushing for, you know?
Wow.
So anyway, my name is Spike Cook. I'm principal at Lakeside Middle School in Millville, New Jersey. We are going to do something this week. We're going to have our staff orientation on Wednesday and Thursday. So just, you know, we're continuing to pay attention to what everybody else is doing. That's why I keep showing up.
I love it. Good stuff. And Frederick.
Greetings. I'm Dr. Frederick White. I am principal of Bellevue Middle School in Memphis, Tennessee. We have been back. We're going into week 4 now. So we've had a lot of celebration points and a lot of points where we are still pushing things and trying to get things together. So it is interesting for those that are getting ready to do it. Enjoy the challenge, embrace the kids being back in your building, and just move along with it. So
I love it. That's sound advice right there. Absolutely correct. Hey, before we jump into our topic tonight, let's take a look and do a quick shout out to Principal Tovar, who had an outstanding interview this weekend with Principal Caffelli. Why don't you talk a little bit about that? I had the pleasure of listening while I was in the gym working out, and I was getting jacked up over branding, man. Nobody does it better than you. So take and talk about it a little bit.
Well, thank you. Well, first of all, it's a great opportunity that Jefe get provided for me, because it's one of the things that we've been following each other since 2014, I think, at NASSP. It was the last session at Las Vegas, the last day, and I just walked into the ballroom and there he was. And from that moment on, I followed him, everything that he does, he says. But you know what? Getting ready for the interview, it was crucial that I read Sergio Vanni's book, because I wanted to make sure that I was ready for all the knowledge that he provided us all. And so that's a great connection with Principal Caffelli. And you know what? I read some of the comments, and I learned what to do whenever your stream ends. You keep on checking on Facebook, and you interact with people. But it's a great thing discussing that topic, because I think that that's one of the things that we were never taught in any of our coursework. Yep. You're never taught, because you know what? Have you seen some of the budgets that these schools have? Especially like the one that I came from was millions, $500,000 in Title I money. And so there is no course that teaches you how to deal with that kind of structure. Most importantly, how you brand, because you do not want to have the narrative replaced by a Facebook group. Because those Facebook groups that talk ill about schools, about people, you know what? They don't control who your narrative or what your narrative is of your campus. You do. And all you do is you accentuate the positive, because that's what happens in a school, is that we control what's being projected out into our learning community. So I appreciate the Principal Caffelli for providing us with that opportunity to making sure that I show it. And it doesn't matter what size, it doesn't matter what size of campus it is. You are the one that controls the message. And I don't care what your paradigm is in regards to, oh, I'm shy about this. Oh, I don't want to use that. I don't know. I didn't know how to use it. You just got to play with it. Yeah. And the good thing is that it's fun. It's fun errors that you do. But in the end, how you brand your school is crucial to creating a positive culture and climate in there. And as long as they see you, everybody around you sees that you're promoting the positive, they're going to be willing to work for you. Because you know what? They know that you care. And here it comes. Ready? People don't know how much you care. Finish it.
Until they know it's, yeah.
People don't care how much you know.
People don't know how much you know until you know how much they know that you get that right.
My own line, isn't that crazy? Okay, but other than that, it was I appreciate Principal Caffelli for this opportunity. And if anybody wants anything, I've been asked requests. I share anything, whatever I have at hand, because we're only stronger together.
Yeah, you do that. And I'll tell you what, your energy between the two of you was fantastic. And it was so student-centered. And it was so story-centered, man. And that stuff that you can't replace that, because that drives us. Okay, that is the bane of what we do and why we do it. So great stuff, man. Congratulations. And don't stop. Pretty soon you're going to be running that show with Principal Caffelli side by side, getting it going. I know you can. So
there's only one Jefe.
I know that, and you made that very clear, and I loved how he had that conversation with his son about that. So that was really cool. Hey, let's switch gears for a second. Let's talk about go time in your schools, okay? We're going tomorrow morning. Some of you guys have already been opening. Spike, you're the caboose here because you're coming in late. But let's talk about this for a second. And Dr. Dow, why don't we start off with you? You've already started your school year. What's it looking like? How you doing? What's going on?
Well, I think the title of the show tonight is perfect, how we're making it happen. And I think the fact that we have such a diverse panel here shows exactly how we're making it happen. So everybody's just been coming together, leaning in, working through issues. As you know, best laid plans, so sometimes everything played out the way that we wanted it to. Sometimes we needed to pivot. Sometimes we needed to come back together and figure out a new plan. But I will say it has been an amazing start. We visited every building. We didn't do a big gathering, trying to distance. And so we're trying something new. So we visited every building, which as someone returning was amazing, because I got to speak to all of the staff members in small groups. We got to be in their buildings, their space, what they've created to welcome their students back, just see their camaraderie, and the energy is phenomenal. They're ready. They were ready for the kids on day one. When the kids came in, they were ready to be back. It just felt right for everybody to be back together. We had a bit of a hybrid schedule last year, nothing too terrible or, something we couldn't handle, but we weren't all together all the time. We had many students still learning from home and staff members who were in and out, and it was a hard year. And so it felt amazing to be better. We kicked it off with some good PD, and we've been rolling.
I love it. So you can't stop them. You can't stop the flow of this whole thing, which is really good.
No, and that's one thing too. Like, you almost feel guilty talking PD, right? You're like, we really just want to focus on our kids, and we want to be with our kids, but we can't forget that we have a job that we have to do as well. And so I think I've talked with you gentlemen about this before, the love and the acceptance and the creation of a safe learning environment. That's the non-negotiable. The thing that we really need to put some energy into is getting these kids back into a structured daily routine, getting them back with their friends, getting them back into school. And our teachers have done a wonderful job opening the doors and making them feel very welcome and that they belong there.
Great stuff. Josh, why don't you kick it down to you? You've been the second longest or the longest back in school already.
Winner.
I think the only thing for us here at Memorial Pathway in Garland is, and I'm pretty sure y'all have heard it in the national media, it's the back and forth between the governor and the county judge. And it's executive branch, yes mask, no mask, possibly mask, maybe not. And so that's been the only obstacle that we've had to overcome. Other than that, I'm very blessed that I have great team members on our campus, in our home, and most importantly, our Jaguars, because you know what? Whatever the situation is at that moment that's placed before us, we work with it. We really haven't had any kind of defiance. Yes, we've been touched on the outskirts of the disease, but not to where it affects the campus at all. So we've been very blessed even since last year that we haven't had those obstacles. The kids they're great. You know, if you just establish that standard of caring, saying, hey, let's clean, use the wipes, clean your area, kids are doing it because they know it's in the best interest of everybody.
Yep.
The
So we're
kids
very
get
blessed.
it, don't they?
Oh yeah, they get it. They get it. I think it's like always, and we all could agree on this. The issue in public education is not the kids.
No.
The issue in public education are the adults. It's the adults. It's not the kids, because kids will
Kids are all right.
you.
Kids will figure it out.
So the thing is that we're doing great so far. Knock on wood.
Good stuff. Dr. Houston.
We had a great start with our convocation. It was a hybrid model, just because of, the state of everything. So we had a great speaker come in, and we kind of patched it out to the schools online, uplifting, motivating. Now, I will say the first week back, I was getting some of those memes. I don't know if you all have seen them with the crate challenge, people climbing the crates and then they fall over and somebody put educator on it. So it was a little rough start for a lot of our schools, for our building leaders, because there's a lot of students that are out the first week on quarantine. The spread the numbers did get a little higher once we got into school. So we've made some pivots, some adjustments. Hopefully going into week 3, things are going to subside and get better. So we're just making sure that we're staying in contact with our leaders to figure out how we can help them, be that support, true support, and making sure that they have everything that they need to be able to adjust.
I love that, being there for your principals, your leaders within your buildings to make sure they have all the tools. That's empowerment. That's what trickles down and makes a district strong. No doubt about it. Good stuff right there. All right, Jamie, kicking it down to you. Our first year principal who is going to be a rock star. I know it.
Yeah, so being the pandemic principal, as I call it, it's been an amazing ride. I'm just going to say I work with some of the best teachers that I could ask for. I was dropped in whole, so I had to add balance, building relationships with the staff, with the parents, with the safety, making sure everyone's needs are being met, and just, making sure that we build some systems that provide like stability for all, while at the same time trying to figure out where our students are because they haven't been in school for this long. It's been interesting, especially for like our first grade babies who spent their kindergarten year virtually. So it was like the first day of school for our kindergartners and our first graders at the same time.
Oh, wow.
Just little things you don't think about when you just, you forget that they were at home. And so you say, well, what school, what room were you in last year? And they were like, none of them. So pivoting that to help our just that team, just to remember that those babies would have a lot of firsts. But we're going into week 4. We're doing it.
You're doing it. You have no questions. You have to do it. And you're using that AP experience you had in all those years right to the table being a principal. And that's going to serve you well because you've been through those trenches before. So great stuff. Keep cultivating those relationships. Let's kick it over to your husband, Dr. White. How's it going, my friend?
Right. Man, everything is going well. I'm just blessed. I have a super staff that came right on in. We got work done. We got the building situated for our scholars. The scholars came in their first day. They were energetic about being back at school. It's interesting for us because only our eighth graders really have experience in the building. So our 6th and 7th graders have never seen the building. So they all come in brand new, eyes wide open to see the large building, everything that's going on, the changing of classes, and everything that we're trying to do to keep that energy going with the classes, with the schedule. We're just really trying to do everything. Our superintendent has been really great with us. He's been trying to make sure that our kids come back safely. That's been his main thing. So we have all of those precautions that you've talked about or you've heard about in the building, the screens, the wiping down between classes, tracing, all of that stuff that's going on in our buildings right now on a daily basis. So we just all came in, we prayed together. We just prayed that this would be a great year for our scholars and that they would get all they need. We're also looking at the numbers here in Memphis. We know that our numbers here in Memphis are actually going up. So we're just praying that we get to keep the kids as long as possible so that we can build those relationships so that if we do have to go back out on virtual, that those relationships are now are foundational so that the kids will keep their cameras on, the kids will remain engaged, the kids will have those conversations with us and we can call them by name and, hey, I know what you look like. I know what you can do because you've been in the classroom with me. And, so we're just taking all of that into account as we just try to push through for a great year. But so far, it's been fantastic. Just once again, just seeing the kids, having my teachers there, and just being able to make sure that you provide for the scholars on a daily like we've been used to. It's been a wonderful experience. So.
That's great stuff. And Jennifer, as she wrote here, the students have first day jitters. Listen, I don't know anybody who doesn't have first day jitters. I get up in front of 600 people to talk to them on the first day. I got that little energy flowing, and that's what makes our job special. Because every year is a brand new year, and we get to cultivate brand new relationships and do brand new things. We break that down to every day is a new day. So when we're dealing with kids, that's the way we have to look at it. Spike, you're up, my man.
Well, it's so awesome listening to what everybody's talking about. Like I said, we're still a few weeks behind. And I will say this, Jamie, I'd love to be on your staff because the way that you speak, I just felt so relaxed. So like when you're giving those like staff meeting, they must be like, you must have them eating out of your hands because I was like, oh, so anyway, so we're still like in the preparation phase, trying to get, a bunch of different things done at the last minute, of course. We had an administrative retreat earlier this past week, which was good. A good opportunity for our district leadership to, go over the goals and mission vision, with us and have us get a chance to have some camaraderie and different things like that. And then, as a building, just continuing to prepare for everything. We had our new student orientation, which was really well attended. And I was very happy too, because we did not have any, sort of issues, with mask wearing or anything like that I know that, happens at certain functions like that. So all the parents and students were really, respectful of what we have to do, not by our choice, but by our governor's choice. So I think they were very understanding and got a lot of positive feedback. So we had, students, like everybody else is saying, that, hadn't been in the building. There may be a seventh grader. They had never been in our building before. We're 6, 7, 8. And we had close to 70% of our incoming sixth grader family participate. So it was really good. And, so now we're just looking at, staff orientation, making sure, as much time as we can to make it meaningful, to make sure that we're going over our mission, our vision, our values, our goals, and a couple of new initiatives. And then something that we did a few years ago, because there's this book out there, The First 3 Days, and the author is I can't remember his name right now. But anyway, we took that information and created the first 3 days so that every single classroom, every single student got the same information at the same time, and it was quite an undertaking. So we're scaling that back a little bit, but keeping the most important information, and just to be able to spread it out throughout the different classes, so that not everything has to be done in a huge auditorium and things like that, where we're sort of limited in what we can do in that capacity as well. So just putting the final touches on that, and looking forward to having the teachers back full time on Wednesday. And then we have Thursday for the second day, and then we have off on Friday. It's great. And then we have off for Labor Day.
Nice long weekend.
Yeah.
Well played.
Yeah. I'm listening to you say this, and I'm saying to myself, you know what? We're going to celebrate our teachers coming back tomorrow, and we're going to celebrate our kids coming back on Wednesday. And that celebration needs to continue, because if you celebrate and create those relationships, still great things happen. And Josh, you know that as well as anybody out there, because I'll tell you what, that's what keeps them wanting more. Hey, Chris, kick it up to you.
Yeah, I'm sitting here listening to this, and I'm just in awe of everybody from district office and district level perspective, right on down to an elementary principal who, bless your heart, Jamie, the little guys are not for me. I'm stuck in the middle for a reason. But I think all that it comes down to here is setting the tone with the idea that relationships matter. And the concept of, academic rigor is exceptionally important. We want to provide our students with opportunities for success down the road, but none of that can happen at a high level until we really get that. So, one of the key areas of focus for us tomorrow as we celebrate the educators is to remind them that it's relationships before rigor. It's very important for what we do in the classroom, but if we integrate in those daily routines and those daily connections with kids, it's going to be about that relationship, and they're going to go to the ends of the earth for you as a classroom teacher if you build that relationship. And that is so exceptionally important as we sit down and move. One of the biggest elements that I'm looking forward to, Dean, we're in the same district, so we get the opportunity to play off of one another and connect our faculties and staffs together with a real central purpose. And for me, listening to the ideas that we're going to bring through in the convocation tomorrow is nothing compared to that first faculty meeting, where we get to be on stage with our staff and set the idea of modeling the tone and the atmosphere for what we want to have for our schools and our district. And it doesn't matter about all those outside influences, those negative opinions, the mask, anti-vax, whatever. We're teaching our kids to be great citizens and great humans, as well as great academics. And at the end of the day, there's nothing more exciting for an educator to get back to that central purpose. I'm fired up about tomorrow, man.
Imagine if they take those skills on to high school and then change the world after that. Okay. So again, it's a transitional element for everybody. Well said, Chris. And you're absolutely spot on as we all try to navigate through this whole process. Hey, let's switch gears for one more time here. And let's talk about the federal funding that we received in all of our schools and how we're using that to help establish a culture of learning in each of our districts and each of our schools. So why don't we start back off this time, and let's go with Dr. Dow, and we're going to work it around.
Thanks. Yeah. So this is it's actually been pretty hopeful. So you guys know we've had 3 rounds of federal relief funds focused on schools, keeping them open, ensuring that they had the safety equipment and sanitary equipment that they needed to keep them open and to keep our kids and staff safe. And now a lot of those are shifting to some of the other things that we know have continued to be needs. So that 3rd round requires you to set aside at least 20% to focus on learning. And I think that says something about what we're realizing a little bit of when we come back in. And I don't know if we're realizing it or not, or if we're just worried about it, because it was very interesting. And I don't know, those of you who are doing your prep work, if you've done any end of the year data analysis, but we've all talked about this learning loss. And I think Chris and Dean, we probably chatted about it the last time I was on. We talked about missed months, but our data did not show a huge decline. So like if you went back a couple years pre-COVID and looked at your end of year data, we did not see a huge loss. And so instead, we started to use a lot of that funding to build teacher capacity. Because just like Chris says, it all starts with us, the staff, right? Like we go into that back to school meeting, we build them up, so they build our students up. So we've been focusing on how can we help them do their job, because that's how we keep our schools open, right? Like they come in and they do their job on a daily basis. And so we've had the opportunity to hire several instructional coaches to be available, because we will have students who might have need for acceleration, might have small gaps. We always do, right? We always do. We just feel that pressure. And so giving our teachers a toolkit and a bunch of strategies to work with. I've hired some interventionists for students who do need that additional support, to shore up our multi-tiered system of support and make sure our staffing is responsive to our students' needs. But then I was actually kind of excited, Dean, the day that and I don't remember who texted me, which one of you guys started the conversation, but about coming on, I saw a story about another possible round of relief funds focused on mental health. And so, so I'm pretty excited about that. So I think, how we're doing all of this in schools is collaboratively. So from our governmental level through our state level. I know sometimes we butt heads with our legislature based on differing beliefs in how we should do this work. But I do believe that they are trying to put some money in a place where we can use it effectively. And I do encourage everybody, not just from the district level, community members, students, parents, teachers, all of our staff members to be involved in those conversations about how those funds are spent, because there's a lot of money rolling around that's available for us to really lean in and do some really good things for kids right now. If we can think kind of out of the box about how we might want to do that. But really committing to getting them back on track, reoriented to school. I heard that, I think it was in this month's Ed Leadership, about reorienting people to school. Also, the idea of supporting our staff. So there's recruitment and retention grants that are going around. We all know about the shortages at every level of our industry here. And if we say, schools are underfunded, the funding's there right now, and we really need to come together to use them in creative and impactful ways.
Thank you very much. Dr. Houston.
We're doing a lot of some of the same things in our district as far as collaborating and just making sure that we're bringing several people to the table. The ESSER 2, ESSER 3 funds is one of the reasons why I have my position. Mm-hmm. They did include interventionists at the secondary level. Interventionists traditionally had just been for the elementary and the lower level. So now there's more of a focus for secondary. So I've been excited to really delve into looking for resources that are appropriate. Things that are done at the elementary level are sometimes not appropriate for the secondary level. So I've really been excited about working with our teachers, getting their input and the buy-in into things that we need, and that's really going to help our students grow on the secondary level. So interventions has been a big thing. For several years, several administrators have always put different things on our budget plans that we turn in every year. So we were happy at the district level to be able to give everyone upfitting for their classrooms with the plexiglass units. Those are such large units. So the furniture that everyone is getting is much smaller. So it's going to help with making sure that the learning spaces are more conducive and students and teachers are able to move around in the classroom safely. So we are still, in meetings as well. Social and emotional learning is a big part of what we're looking into as well. Last year, we talked a lot about self-care, but now we're really wanting to put things in place to model how we're doing this with our leaders. I used Jeff's idea from the last episode I was on with you guys with the form for the SEO check-in, and it was really well received. So just making sure that we're modeling and also making sure that we're finding true resources for our school leader has been a big focus for us.
Thank you so much. Principal Tovar.
The good thing about our campus is that we're very small compared to the majority of the schools that are mentioned in within our principal roundtable. And so because of the size of it, they provided us with enough PPE and everything prior to it. As I mentioned last week in last week's podcast, because of this executive issue going on between our Dallas County judge and the governor, we've had to take down the plastic glass. We had to put it back up again. We're thinking of taking it back down again. And so it is what it is. And I'm just blessed I'm not in a school of 3,000 people. Yeah. But anything that we require, I'm very blessed to work in Garland ISD. They support us with anything that I need. Our area directors are always on top, checking in on us. So right now, everything's been good. We don't deal directly with the funds in our district as campus principals, but anything that we do ask above the chain of command, we have yet to hear no. So again, I reiterate, we're very blessed to be in Garland ISD.
You know, we're getting a lot of comments out there from other principals around the country, you know, where quarantines are up to high scale and, you know, the masks are being worn. We know here in Massachusetts that our Commissioner of Education, alongside with the governor, had put forth the verbiage that we have masks immediately starting with the start of the school year. Actually, we started last week on Monday, actually. It was made mandatory. So again, you know, and there's a lot of different feelings out there with all of that. But, you know, that's a road we're not going to go down right now because, you know what, the need for education needs to move on, and we got to find a way to ensure that we do it. And we're going to do it in the safest manner possible. So let's kick it over to Principal White, Jamie White, that is. Sorry, Frederick.
All right. So we don't directly deal with the funds either, but we are benefiting from them. In our system, we've added what we call highly specialized teacher assistants in those critical grade levels so that we can have that just-in-time support, make our class size smaller. It's like 1 to 10, 1 to 13, and a lot of the grade levels, just to try to make sure that we can reach every child where they are at this time because we don't know where they are. What I love about our district is that they survey parents. So as a worker and a parent, I get, you know, both sides to ask, you know, the district asks parents, how should we spend the funds? And so I like that input so that you can get the views of both sides so you'll know, where to put that money. We too are spending a lot on social and emotional learning, not just for the students, but on the staff end as well. Our superintendent has been hosting all kinds of things just to make sure that all of our needs are taken care of for like everyone. And so other than that, we had like a bridge camp. So our children were basically almost in school year round when we started. They had a week after school ended and then had a month-long camp, and then they had 1 week and they came back to school. So yes. Yeah. And so that actually, so that helped a lot of our babies for things like, with the younger babies writing, holding a pencil, some things you really can't teach on a computer screen. And so just to help us to just think about all of those aspects that we hadn't considered as children had been out for almost 2 years.
Wow. Yeah. Think about the comment that just came on here as well as administrators, that they are now responsible for contact tracing. I know the amount of work our nursing staff put in to do that. So we feel your pain when you put that out there. And, we were fortunate enough in our district to get a COVID specialist to come in to help out. But we also have a floating nurse for the district to pick up the extra half, which is really good, especially during these times. So, Jamie, didn't mean to take away from your thunder right there. Thank you so much. That was some great stuff. Let's kick it over to Frederick.
As Jamie said, a lot of our funds are district mandated on where they're going to go, but our superintendent and our board in general have never said no to anything that would help the scholars out. Some of the stuff that they are doing are looking at the curriculum, putting funds into that, putting funds into the tutoring piece, putting funds into SEL components, making sure that the scholars have everything that they need. I love that we did have the Summer Bridge program for our scholars, and it was a face-to-face issue. So all of the kids that took part of that were actually in the building. So they got some of those routines set so they know how to clean after themselves or clean before they sit down, or they got practice in all of those protective measures that we are carried on for through this year. We are also trying right now they are providing us with a reset room. So some of our scholars, once again, this is new to them. So in our progressive discipline now, we make sure that that reset room is a part of this so that the scholars aren't being, overly, attacked or punished or dealt with because they're just getting used to this piece about being back in and face to face. Because once again, some of these kids have not been around people for 2 years now. They've just been in their home dealing with their siblings, and with their siblings act up and they can give them an elbow. But now, you have to, be around people and deal with social justice and things. Some of the comments that we did see coming in also about, having subs, those are some of the problems that we're facing. And I know, definitely. And I always listen to Josh, Chris, Dean, when we talk about our responsibility as principals. A lot of our responsibility is keeping some of that stuff off of the back of teachers. So anything that we can do to, so teachers don't even hear about some of the things that go on, complaints or whatever. We try to take that. So the only thing our teachers need to deal with is building the relationship with kids and getting the academic piece done. So, but other than that, it's going, and I think our district is doing a great job with those funds right now.
I love your idea of the reset room, and goodbye ISS, never going to see you again. Restorative practice room. Let's go. Let's get some flexible seating, some rocking chairs, some bean bags. Let's put a place in there where they can just kind of decompress, and maybe even an elliptical if we need to, whatever it takes to help kids manage their emotions. I love it. Hey, Spike, you're up.
So just wanted to go back to one of my first comments. I forgot the book, and of course I had to Google it, but it was by Greg Wolcott, and it's called The Significant 72. And that's what we based those first 3 days on, and that's what we're going to do for our opening again. And it's all about relationships and relationships. So I really highly recommend to take a look at that book, The Significant 72. I wanted to kind of piggyback on something that Doreen had said about the misnomer of the learning loss that happened during the pandemic, that the data is really not pointing to that, at least in our district. I'm not sure, how that is in other places, because there's really been this anti-online learning, anti-virtual, sort of movement that started. And as we know, as being in the 21st century, like the school classroom isn't necessarily the hub of learning anymore. It's just it's a place. It's one place out of many places that kids are learning. So I'm not exactly sure where all that's coming from. I think a little bit tongue in cheek, it could be from parents saying that they just want their kids going back to school and not in their living room. And I know that it wasn't everything that it was cracked up to be, but I will say that our teachers, by and large, took leaps and bounds to catch up, and many, for other reasons, I'm not going to, no judgment zone, but we're 2 decades into the 21st century, so we really need to be poised to do this, not just because of a pandemic, but what our kids need. Dr. White had mentioned some of the things that we also are doing, as far as we've been doing a little bit differently over the last few years, but it'll be way more significant this year with a PBIS removal room, as opposed to, kids sitting down and, with the secretary because they got kicked out of class, and going through a process of helping them, reset. We created a teacher reset room. It's separate from all of the faculty rooms that in our school. so that they can have flexible seating and an area for either contemplation or collaboration, whatever it is that they need. And I've spoken a few times, on this podcast about the initiatives that we've done as far as whole health is concerned. So we have a couple pop-up classrooms that are out there, mindfulness walk, both inside and outside, picnic tables, things like that. So, and that's all from grant money that we've been working with various organizations on. Now, as far as to get back to your initial question, similar to the other principals, we're not specifically, the ones that are in charge of that money, but very similar to what everybody said. Our district is really committed to lowering class sizes, providing additional support. Unfortunately, it's a very difficult time to do that because we're having interviews where, there's not as many candidates as there used to be. Let's just say it like that. And I'm not exactly sure where all the candidates went. There's like 3 or 4 huge universities near us, and I'm just not seeing, the students coming out of college going right into education anymore. But with that said, the initiative is there, and we've lowered our class size averages in our core subjects from around 23, 24 down to like 18, 19 for this upcoming school year. Now, I'm not going to say that they're all being staffed right now. We have several open positions. We have several long-term folks. And that's on top of, the maternity leaves that are going to come up and some of the things that other people have talked about as far as the impact of COVID. And then the last thing that I will say is that over the pandemic, as an administrator, I've been responsible for doing the contact tracing. So I do feel the pain of that other principal who was saying that, that she's, spending long days and long nights doing that. And it really does take a lot away from your day in order to do that. But you know what? I think Josh says it a lot. Like we just have to, we have to work beyond that kind of stuff. And it's a mindset. So I could sit here and complain about it, or I could just be grateful that, number one, I get a chance to be in this profession and work with some of the best minds out there, and have an amazing job and with amazing people.
Spike, that's a growth mindset. That's what they call that. So, you know what? That's fantastic. And then, you think about it. We're coming out of COVID, and Chris and I talk about this all the time. Reimagining, dreaming what school could be like. Why can't we combine the best of both worlds? We have the tools. If we go back to the old way and not utilize the tools that we have conquered and maximized, then shame on us in education, because there are going to be times when we're going to need to do that. Just really good stuff. Chris, why don't you talk about our district and the SEL component and what we're doing and how we're using our funding?
Yeah, I think this will transition into our final topic of the night, and we'll whip around this pretty quick because we already touched on it. But I think one of the best things that we could do in the district is really focus on, that social emotional learning. We made a commitment. I've been asking pre-COVID for adjustment counselors at the middle level. I've been an advocate for that. And because of the ESSER II money, we were able to fund positions as an initial entry into middle level adjustment counselor support, in addition to our counseling team, which was traditionally made up of guidance counselors and school psychologists. So having that SAC come in and be able to support the focus on SEL and be able to have the capacity to go in and do some psychoed modeling with kids and be able to support teachers with strategies is super advantageous for us. Again, we've heard it, building principals, we don't have a lot of say in how the money is spent, but our advocacy on what's most important is being heard and being felt by members of the community, the district office administration, as well as school committee. So understanding what it is that we need and focusing on how we can utilize those funds has been really key. Social emotional learning as we enter into the school year, as I kind of talked about it a little earlier without saying SEL, but relationships matter, and it's relationships before rigor. In order to have relationship, you've got to have a trusting environment. You've got to have a positive belief system that you can be a champion of kids who are in front of you, and the kids can also be your champion. They can feed your soul as an educator. You've got to look to see who is in front of you and understand that they have a history, but they also have capacity that you've never experienced as an adult. And if you're able to acknowledge that, social emotional learning becomes a two-way street. It's a give and take. They can be our crutch just as much as we're supposed to be theirs. But, Dean, that's about what I've got for our SEL intro, man. Got anything else to add for DCRSD?
Hey, history versus capacity. I love that. You take your toughest student who's dealing with all kinds of issues, and you look and be creative with reconnecting them with their purpose in school. All of a sudden, you get a different kid, which leads to a different culture and climate within your school. Not hard. It's not rocket science. You just got to be willing to take that leap of faith and do something different. So good. So good. Hey, last thing we have, I'm going to go around the table really quickly. Celebrating teachers. Talk to me in your district, what you've done to celebrate them. You've got 1 minute to do that. We're going to start off with Dr. Dow. We're going to work around again. How'd you celebrate your staff? Tomorrow it's music.
Awesome. So we believe this year our theme is all about belonging. Our motto is love, learn, lead. And we believe that together, just like Josh has been saying, together we do it better. So we do our very best to empower our staff. We've all got the matching t-shirts. We're all wearing them proudly. But I think one thing that we do to celebrate teachers is to recognize the contributions that they make on a regular basis, because that's their job. It's all of our jobs, right? These jobs are hard, and they always go above and beyond. And I couldn't be prouder of how they've established a belonging culture for our students and invited them back and supported one another and opened our doors to the community. And we're very blessed to have them. So I think the thing that we can do most is to speak it, to say thank you, to acknowledge it, to publicly acknowledge what they do, because we've been talking about the negativity out there. We've been talking about controlling our narrative, and teachers give us something to celebrate on a daily basis. So don't be ashamed to get it out there and say it proudly.
Love it. Dr. Houston, you're up.
One thing that we're doing with those ESSER funds is that we know that it's going to be difficult for teachers this year, adjusting to the new things that we have in place. So every teacher is getting $1,000 stipend on top of their $250 supply stipend that we normally give. They're going to get that extra funding. We also do a Rockstar Teacher of the Month, where we go around and make it a big deal, kind of similar to Josh, with our balloons and a big bouquet of roses, and we record it and show it at the board meeting. We put it on Facebook. So that's one of the things we do to celebrate teachers. And I just want to commend you all for your last guest you had, Andrea. I think it was Sanadoni. Am I saying her last name right? She was really good connecting SEL to the brain research. I really like that. And that's one thing I'm going to use as we build our SEL program, to make sure we're building teachers' capacity and the school leaders' capacity on it, and showing them how that's connected to learning. So thank you guys for having that episode.
Belonging before achievement. Yeah, definitely.
We have 3 parts to that episode. It is so big that we couldn't get it all in an hour. So thank you for saying that. I'm sure she'll be very pumped for that. Josh, you're up.
Well, pretty much there's just patterns of behavior that we've done at the campus. And it's just being consistent with the message. And our message has been going for the gold. And we just tie it into different events created by different athletes and organizations. And every day at the start of the morning announcements, that's mentioned, because that SEL is making sure that we remind everybody that we're in it together, that we're only stronger together, and that we have a vision to make sure that success is the only option for all the Jaguars in our home and our team members within the classroom, because we're all one big familia. And so it doesn't matter, like we all said, different events, different things that we do to celebrate them, but they have to feel it. So whatever you do out there, whoever's sitting in our chair, make sure you do it, and you do it consistently. That way people understand that it's not a one-shot deal. So at MPA, the home of the Jaguars, we've been doing a lot to accentuate the positive and to also ensure that we're going for the goal.
I love it. Really good. Okay, Jamie, you're up.
So I believe in celebrating every day. So one thing that I do is I spotlight a class and a teacher every day for something that they're doing that could be innovative. It could just be something that I saw that they improved on from the previous day. And I put it in the morning announcements. I do them visually, so it's a video. So I show them the snapshot that I took of that powerful moment of learning that was actually taking place, and spotlight that each day. And then in the newsletter that I sent out to staff, I spotlight different groups So this week it was my pre-K teachers for leading the children through their first fire drill, or the dismissal crew, because, you know, everybody has like twice as many car riders than you had in the past. And so getting them out efficiently. And so, I mean, I just know that to celebrate, we have to do it just small increments at a time. And we just work each day to perfect something that maybe wasn't perfect the previous day, and just keep working at it, just to build that growth mindset that we've all been talking about.
Think about the culture that you're creating by doing that. Great stuff. Frederick.
With us, we consistently do our Teacher of the Month, of course, and things that we, like Josh said, we already have established in our building. I feed my teachers often. Normally, it has to be close to payday. They know, because this does come out of my pocket. It's not a school fund for this. So we do little treats for our professors. The biggest thing I think we do, well, I do, is make sure my teachers know they can come and talk to me. I tell my teachers all the time that I love them. This is not just a business that we're in. It's a family that we are here to support each other. So I tell them often. I make sure that if I have a teacher that needs to talk to me, I think because we've all gone through things with this pandemic, when they need to come in and sit down and talk to me, I stop what I'm doing and have a conversation. I let them know that my door is always open. The most important thing that we do is serve kids. We can't do that without our teachers. So my most important job is to serve my teachers. I tell them all the time, we may not agree, but even if we don't agree with each other all the time, you know, whatever decision that we make is going to be in the best interest of the kids, and it's going to be done with me still loving you. So just, you know, keep your mind on your teachers. Know that they're going through things. Make sure they have some avenue to vent, to talk, and to communicate and release also. So hopefully everybody is doing that already.
Well, that's servant not only for kids, but for the teachers. We're in the business of human beings, as Josh says all the time, and creating those relationships that are sustaining and real and trustworthy. So really good stuff right there. Before we go down to Spike, Dr. Houston, I'm going to come back to you, Spike. You had something you want to shout out for to help out with the contract tracing?
Yes. For Delilah, one of the things that we did when I was a middle school principal, instead of the students changing classes, I purchased carts for all of the teachers. That was to keep everyone with their, group. So they came in, they got breakfast, they went in and ate breakfast in the classroom. They pretty much stayed with that group the whole day. So that kind of limited the amount of spread that could happen around the building. We didn't have a lot of spread that year, or the cases were not high at all. And then the district had extra people to come in and help clean, between classes. So if that's a possibility, keeping the children, into that one setting. Now you do have to make sure that you're also building in lots of brain breaks, allowing the children to walk around a great deal. Because you don't want them to get bored in that one space. But instead of the children changing, the teachers went to the children.
Love it. Good stuff. Thanks. Spike, you're up.
Okay, real quick. I know we're pressed for time here, but I just want to say that celebrating teachers is something that, we always could do a better job at. We have a couple of things that will be planned differently this year. We have a series of rallies that will be going on throughout the school year, where we're acknowledging and recognizing the hard work of students and teachers. We have a very active blog where we highlight teachers for different, various things, both inside and outside of school. And I've learned a lot from Josh, some of the different things that that he's done. Just some different ideas, to sort of, recognize the hard work that's going on. I like what Dr. White had said earlier. Also, just making yourself available and, being that, the leader that listens and that can empathize, because there's people that are going through a lot of things. If you only knew, like we know because they come in and tell us, in our office, but some of these people, it's amazing, what they deal with, and then come in and work with kids all day.
If they know you, that they're supported from the time they walk in till the time they leave and beyond those realms, you're going to be fine. That's what you want to do to build up that culture of trust. And remember, teachers are the lifeline of what we do. So we need to make sure that we are feeding them, and we've got their back, and we've got to take good care of them. Chris, why don't you take us home?
Hey, I'm listening to this again. I'm coming up with great ideas. I'm taking notes all over the place again.
Yeah.
Some of this stuff sounds simple, but it's actually really complex, because we want to be able to understand who we are as educators, as we are as leaders, and then understand that everybody who walks through our front door does have a story, and their story, just like Spike just nailed it. They might know the answer on one day, but then the next day they got a situation that they don't understand. They've got to have a climate and a culture where they can look to their left, look to their right, or walk down the hallway to help find the answer. So, building a really strong community is what this platform is about, where we can all share ideas. We can beg, borrow, and steal from one another. Josh, you're a great resource, as Spike just mentioned, but everybody here tonight contributed something tremendous to the conversation. And that's what this is all about. Dean and I created this platform on the idea that we can be better together, and we can certainly be able to contribute to somebody else's day and maybe even get better ourselves, which I know that I have been tremendously impacted by all the folks that we've interacted with. But hey, we're up against it tonight, gang. We've been going for 56 minutes and 10 seconds here.
Yeah.
Time has certainly flown. Thank you, Sheikah, Dorian, Frederick, Spike, Josh, and welcome, Jamie. Dean, as always, we had a heck of a great evening tonight, and we hope you all enjoy the opening to your school years. If you are already open, stay strong, stay focused on being better, stay focused on getting to the end line, because that always does keep moving, and it's always getting closer, no matter how you feel. But we're here for you. Reach out if you have any questions. Be well, be safe, and as always, work hard to be better. Folks down in Louisiana and the Gulf Coast area tonight, we're thinking of you.
Yeah. Everybody here,